Hi everybody. I have been observing for quite some time how Western media covers the war in Ukraine, which is now not in its fourth year but in its 12th. For many, the reasons behind this aggression from Moscow remain unclear. Well, I'll try to explain as briefly as possible, though this story stretches deep into the past. Since ancient times, the lands of today's Moscow were inhabited by the cannibalistic anthrophag tribes. This was even recorded by the ancient Greek historian Herodotus. So when Kievan Rus began to decline, the descendants of these tribes decided to seize the legacy of Kiev in an attempt to come closer to the civilized nations of Europe. Since then, there have been relentless attempts to erase true history and legitimize everything they stole from the ancestors of modern Ukrainians. And they stole and appropriated everything they could: the culture, the traditions, the history, the language. In 1720, they even renamed Moscovia to Russia to get as close as possible to the history of the people they had managed to conquer. Do you know why a thief hates his victims? Because they are witnesses to his crimes. In the same way, the Muscovites cannot come to terms with the fact that after regaining independence, Ukrainians began reclaiming everything these barbarians had stolen from them. All our archaeological and historical treasures were constantly taken away to Moscow and St. Petersburg. These necrophiles even stole the bones of our princes and hetmans. So this war is not about territory, not about protecting Russian-speaking Ukrainians. As you can see, the region that suffered the most were those bordering Russia, where the Russian-speaking population lived. This is an existential war for survival. The very existence of Ukrainians is the greatest threat to Moscow's so-called national security. Because as long as Ukrainians exist, they will remind the Moscovites of the